On the Edge. Welcome to On the Edge, a podcast about table tennis and, that little white ball that goes so fast. I'm Marie Migo, a professional table tennis player, and I want to put the spotlight on the personalities involved in the sport and share the stories. Whether they are players, trainers, coaches, therapists, or even more, I'm letting their voices guide us through their careers, their difficulties, and their differences. Yes, I deeply believe that each of us has something unique to give. So get ready to open your ears wide and bon voyage!
Yeah, it's a very delicate balance because if I try to erase this energy from myself and just play without these emotions, then it's impossible for me to perform. I've tried a couple of times. I work with mental coaches and just ends up the same where I'm just like nothing comes out. It's important for women in general and women in sports to find who they are and express that so they don't make themselves smaller. They taught me from the beginning to be kind to myself. They always let me be me, and I guess I just never learned to focus too much on what others will think. Because I finished because my coach died, and then I wasn't able to handle that. It was not the ending I wanted.
Hello Mati, welcome on the Edge.
Hello, Marie. Thank you very much.
I'm so happy to have you here. I never know how to start a podcast, an episode. So let's start somehow, and the talk will come. You are a very feeling person, so I prepared, of course, some things. But I think the podcast and the episode will go with the flow. So let's see where it will bring us. But there is no strict and organized plan for the talk.
Cool. Sounds good.
I will let you introduce yourself as always, this for sure. And then we will start with a small quiz. And I will start also with a small anecdote that I have from you. I think it will be a good start. So first, who are you, Matilda Ekholm?
That is a good question. That's something I think about too.
Yeah, it's really hard, right?
Yeah. Well, I am from Sweden, small village, 2 hours south from Stockholm, and it's called Vikingstad. It's translation is Viking town, so I think I got some of my power and energy from there for sure. And I've played table tennis all my life, and I'm 42 now. And after a couple of years of break, I made a comeback. Last year in 2023, I started training again, and now I've been training for a little bit more than a year, and I'm slowly getting back in shape, and it just seems like table tennis cannot leave my life. So, anything else you want to know about me? You're gonna have to ask, I guess.
Uh, Before I start, I have a small anecdote. Because I met you, I was 16 or 17, I think. It was in Austria, in WSA. And we played a practice match. Maybe you don't remember that, but I remember. And I won 3-1. And then you destroyed the table. And you left the hall. And you even didn't shake my hands. You just left the hall. And I
Oh
was
wow.
feeling oh, what did I do? I was a bit scared. And then you sent me a message and you told me that it was not my mistake. It was just your anger against yourself, but not against me. And you invited me for lunch. So this is this is
Yeah,
the
sounds
way
like
how
me.
I met you. Yeah. So how were you dealing with those feelings? Like, you know. That's a really
Well,
deep question for the beginning, but
yeah, well, it's uh everybody who's been following my career, they know I'm very passionate player, and I think especially for a woman, that's something that stands out. Um, I have no excuses for not shaking your hand, but um, I I know that throughout my career I've been really thriving on all that positive energy, that um, the will to win, and also hating to lose. It's been it's been very important for my game. And then I would say anytime that something in my personal life maybe is not working out right, or there is some issue, then sometimes it goes overboard and I'm not able to control it, and then it turns into something really bad. And I've had to apologize to many people, and sometimes I think, like, even at this age, I'm still behaving very poorly. But I I tend to think that, like you said, that I'm very aware, and I also try to make it very clear to the people around me that this is towards myself, and I would never hurt anyone else. So, um, yeah, it's a very delicate balance. Because if I try to erase this energy from myself and just play without these emotions, then it's impossible for me to perform. I've tried a couple of times. I worked with mental coaches, and just ends up the same, where I'm just like nothing comes out. I'm just, lame at the table. So yeah, thankfully in my private life, I don't have these big outbursts. So
But yes, I
um,
can
yeah.
say that because you also show me that we can be different, that
Mm.
to be different is not a problem. I call
Yeah.
it that to be not normal, even nobody is normal, but and the way
Yeah.
you explained that to me when I was younger, then I felt better with myself too.
Yeah, that's
And
nice. Yeah.
you explained also on the way that you are very calm and reflective, and you did your research before in yourself and outside, that you were reading or listening some things that can teach you like how to behave better, but you also transmit that to me and
Mm.
I think to other people. So you are a wise person, but with also sometimes these bomba things which are coming out of nowhere. So you have that balance also. It's not only that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I think, like I said, for women in particular, it's if you look at the tour and the tournaments all around the world, you see much more. Um, the male players, it's much more common for them to express themselves, and I feel like women, we tend to make ourselves smaller many times. And um, also, I think if uh, like, again, I'm not condoning my own behavior. Sometimes it's really not okay, but I think if I were a guy, it would not be the same kind of attention around my behavior, because it would just be like almost like some of the other guys. So for me, it stands out because I'm a woman, and um, but I just think that it's important for women in general and women in sports to find who they are and express that, so they don't make themselves smaller than they really are.
Yeah. So you started table tennis. How old you were?
7.
7. I thought older.
No, I started when I was 7, like in my club where I started playing in my club when I was 8, because the club would only allow 8-year-olds to play. That's it's very
Really?
very typical Sweden, in that, like,
Why?
we're just here we were just here to have fun, and like, until like, if you're younger, then you should be in the playground and not doing serious sports. So it's like, I'm not saying it's like this everywhere in Sweden, but it's a typical thing in Sweden, where the focus is more on the general well-being and not so much elite focus at an early age, which I think can be a really good thing. But in my case, I just wanted to start playing, so I played with my dad until I was 8, and then they let
You,
me join the club.
and you had a pimper, right?
Yeah, so I didn't practice much until I was like 12, 13, 14. I just played a couple of times a week. And then after that, I practiced almost only forehand. Then, of course, my forehand was much better than my backhand. And then somebody said, "Oh, you should have pips on your backhand because your backhand is so bad." And I mean, that was not because my backhand was inherently bad. It was just I never practiced backhand. So, but I was like, okay, I trust the coaches. So I was I used pips from 14 to 19 on my
Wow,
backhand. And
I
very
can imagine.
slow pips. No, it was a 1.2 millimeter sponge and very slow. It was closer to something like long pips. And so I just played more and more forehand instead, because my backhand was still not any good. So it it really taught me to play forehand all directions from all angles. So it's a very good thing um, to learn. But then when I was 19, the national team coach, he was like, "What are you doing? Like, just throw away those pips and never put them back on." And then I started, like, I put on a regular rubber immediately. Somebody said I should go with a slower rubber, but I was like, no, I'm gonna have fun now, and put the regular fast rubber on my backhand and started driving immediately. And
Got better,
yeah,
right?
from
Your game?
yeah,
Did you?
in just like I don't know, 2 3 years, I went from number 5 in Sweden to number 1.
So you were 20, 21?
Yeah, I played my first European championships. So when I was 20, it was 2024. It was very late to play a championship in the senior category.
Yes, you actually your career started pretty late, right? Compared to other players.
Yeah. I played the one-time junior European championships, and it was my last year as a junior, and I lost the second round. And
And
yeah,
you had the desire to be good in that age, or you were just playing and having fun?
I think yeah, I always had the desire to be good. And when I started high school, I chose German to learn to study German, just because I knew that I was going to be a professional in Germany someday. So
Okay.
I think that was my goal. But I didn't. Coming from a very humble family, and Sweden being the way it is, I didn't really have dreams of big medals. Or it was more
What do you
like,
mean? What do you mean by Sweden? It is how it is.
mm, if you look at the current men's national team, for example, they are incredibly good, all of them. But you see that Truls, he really stands out. He's not being very Swedish in his ways. He's cocky. He knows he's the best. He's a it's in Sweden that's very unusual. I want to say, like, you look at the other players, Anton, Christian, Matthias, they're much more similar to me in that, like, very humble. And it's I want to say it's Swedish tradition almost to respect everybody around you. And it's a very nice skill, and I appreciate that side of our culture. But it sometimes holds you back from
Hmm.
really breaking through the roof. So um, I was always very much like that. Like, we will see. I try my best. Everybody is trying, and we will see how far it takes me. My dad, he was always saying like, "Yeah, you're. Who would have thought you'd reach this far, you know. Like he was
Very humble. Oh my god. Yeah.
yeah. So I think it was just for me it also worked out pretty well because it kept me in a place where I was just like appreciative of my progress, and I kept getting better each year. So as long as I kept getting better, it was like, oh, I'll just keep going, you know. I like this. So
And
yeah.
how were you practicing there? What was your schedule, your daily schedule, and then after that, how you felt there as a woman, like in the system?
Um, my daily schedule. I tried to practice twice a day from when I became a teenager. It was not always possible, but yeah, I think I played like 7 times a week during
Mm.
the teenage years, and then I moved to Stockholm, and then later to our national training center, and then I started playing twice a day from I maybe age 20 to 28.
Okay.
Um,
So you stay in Sweden until 28.
I moved. I played internationally. I played in Spain, Germany, and Austria in the leagues there. But most of the time until 28, I spent training in Sweden at our training center. And after that, I started practicing once a day, and I stayed there for a little bit longer. And then I moved to Spain, and then later I lived in Austria.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what was the other question?
How you felt there when you were younger
Uh,
in this system, sports system in Sweden?
I felt really good. Uh, There's a lot to say about the Swedish training system while I was growing up, but it was in general very inclusive. And what we tend to do well in Sweden is that we see the individual, and we let them we let them bloom in the way that they need to. So the downside of that is that sometimes it's not enough systematic. Um, like if you have just so few players, then you need to really take care of each one of them, and you can't put everybody into one box of this is how you do it. So this is what we do really well, but that means sometimes um, you lack the structure, and there is not enough, pushing in the direction that you need to go if you want to be, let's say, European champion. So if you let everybody run free completely, then and without giving them the knowledge and like information, like this is the minimum things that you need to do, and then after that we can let you go your own way. So I think that was missing in Sweden for the first part of my career.
Mm.
I think one of the reasons was with the Waldner Persson Appelgren era, where they were so incredibly good and they did their own thing. But times were different then. Like there was less countries competing, and they played 10 hours per day. They just loved playing, and of course you get good if you play that much. But then I think the mentality was like, oh, they became so good on their own with little structure, so everybody can do that. But clearly that doesn't really work. We see that the generation after them, there was nothing. Like, of course, we have some good players. I'm not saying. I mean, Jens Lundqvist, um, Magnus Molin, they did well on the women's side. The generation before me have really no medals at any championships. So there was a period where Sweden were suffering, I think, from this lack of systematic training. But I think that as time went by, we learned to implement it more, and definitely in the later part of my career, I had much more of that. That was thankfully my coach at the time. I was already over 30 years old, and Anders Johansson came back to Sweden. He had been abroad for many years. He had been in Germany working with the national team there, and I think he brought a lot of good things from there with their systematic training. He brought that back to Sweden, and I think that helped a lot.
So when did you meet Anders?
I've known him longer before, but I was 30, about 30 years old when I started working with him.
You started
Yeah.
individually to work with him?
No, he was on the national team, so
Ah, he was
I,
national team
I
coach.
yeah, he was the sports director.
Okay.
Yeah.
From what you told me about him, like before, like he really understood you, also the way you were thinking and doing, because you are different than any other player I've met. Maybe now it's getting also more on your way, you know. People are also practicing more efficiently, we say like this,
Mm-hmm.
and thinking with more like detaily, you know, analyzing everything. So maybe you can also explain that, how he helped you to maybe do your own way.
Yeah. I think first of all, he was teaching me a lot about the like physical, the balance, the biomechanics of things, how to um, how to utilize your body and the floor and the gravity and all those things. Like, how do you most efficiently put the ball in a powerful way over to the other side, and also what fits best for your body and your playing style. And like I was we were doing a training exercise, and I was blocking for someone, and he walked past my table, and he was like, I don't think you should be blocking so close to the table, because you always learn that you should be close to the table when you block, right? And my reaction speed was never super fast, but my touch is really good. And he was just like, try blocking like 2 steps back, and I did, and suddenly I felt like, oh, I can control this, like in a completely different way. And I think that was his way of working. He would look at the individual and be like, what works best for this person, and also in a mental way, he would know, and maybe it was just a lucky fit, like that his and my personality fit each other really well, in that he knew how to coach me, how to bring out that like Viking in me, but without going overboard. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's too much to summarize all his skills here now, but in general, what he brought to Swedish table tennis, I think, was just a reminder of you also need to learn the basics before you just go wild with your creativity and unique playing style. So
So before him, you didn't have the basics.
yeah, exactly. It was a lot more about just, you know, you
Feeling.
have good touch, figure
Yeah.
it out.
Oh
And
wow.
I went to so many training camps during my career where I didn't get like a single advice on how to improve something. I just had to, figure it out myself. And um, like I said, there is a very good side to that too, because it teaches you really how to actually figure out things. But if you lack the basic understanding of how the body works, then yeah, it can only take you so far.
Yeah. And I mean, then when you discover that you can have the structure and the basics, then you could use all your creativity and what you learned before
Yeah.
by yourself. So it became even, your game was actually exponential.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. So when he started coaching me, I was around top 50 in the world, maybe. And he said very quickly, he said, we're going to get you to top 20. And I was like, yeah, I don't know if I believe that. And then we just kept working together. And actually, the month where I became top 20 was the month that he died. So it was like full circle moment. And and it was very, very special. And something, of course, I will never forget. So,
You want to speak about that period?
yeah, absolutely. It was it was obviously very tough for me and everyone around. He was, like I said, he came in to my life and career when I was about top 50, and he helped me get to top 20, and that brought us like very, very close to each other in a friendship way too. So he became one of my best friends, and we had a very good companionship. And also his way of being was to instill confidence in his players. So after he died, I saw the ranking as top 20, but I couldn't really feel it anymore. It was like, what do I do now? It wasn't that he made himself so important that I couldn't perform without him. It wasn't about that. It was more like this 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 cooperation thing is over, and now I'm alone. And it just made me lose motivation to continue. I tried for a bit, like of course the first couple of months it was impossible to even think, or you know, I was just trying to eat and just survive. But then I started trying, and it was just not the same anymore because of the the confidence he brought to the table in literal sense. Um, that was gone, and I couldn't find it in myself. So um, I think that was like maybe the start of the end of my career. That ended in 2020. So this was 2017, and I had uh, some good tournaments after that, but yeah, the lack of motivation and confidence is just like,
And joy as well,
yeah,
no?
yeah, yeah, of course.
Yeah. You had somebody with you, so of course it's changing, and yeah. But did you
Yeah.
ever trust anyone like him in your career?
I don't think I have. I usually trust everyone I work with. I don't have a hard time trusting people. I try to see the best in everyone, but I never had that kind of cooperation with someone where I felt like they really bring out the best in me as a coach. So it was obviously hard to replace. And
I think it's also nice to have lived that, and
yeah,
you're also
yeah,
lucky to have had this kind of person next to you, and that you could see really what's the best in yourself. And I
yeah,
think that's
yes. I'm super grateful for the time that we had together, and I think it's also something that motivates me to learn now as I'm okay now. I made a small comeback as a player, but I think in general in life and what I want to do going forward, his way of being helps me now to. I want to be like him in how he push people's right buttons and bring them forward and makes them better people. And that's something I would like to do in whatever comes next for me.
you always want that. You always help people also. You always want. Maybe you don't know that, but you are always willing to help.
Yeah, well,
Why, and why is that?
um, I don't know. It's I really enjoy seeing change. I think, like, if to see. I mean, all the it's also a selfish thing for me, because if I can push you to become a better version of you, then it's like I can feel happy about myself because I brought something good to the world, and that gives me some joy too. So I think that's it. Like, you see someone else growing. It's a selfish thing, but it's a good selfish thing, I guess.
Yeah, I understand. I think I wanted to do a quiz, but it was a long first part of the episode. But I think the quiz can bring something because it's not deep questions, but I think we can bounce on them.
Hmm.
Uh, so we will do that. I think the quiz is a good thing because we spoke yesterday over messages, and I will ask you what is your favorite book. But I think now I know the
Oh,
author.
yeah. My current favorite author is Brianna Wiest. Wiest. Uh, she has many good books, but The Mountain Is You is a it's an amazing book. That is also like we just spoke about, pushing people's button and poking and just making somebody take the steps necessary in their lives.
Yeah, and you told me that you never found a good therapist, but the books are the
Yeah.
books are helping you also to go deep because you are such a feeling person, right? And you are sensitive and you are thinking maybe differently. You are spiritual, I guess, as well, right? Very spiritual.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
are
that's right.
meditating, and yeah, and it's so interesting to speak about those things. So how you do to deal with all these emotions that are coming to you? This is something I wanted to know when I was younger, I think, because it's a lot of dealing, but I'm learning how to deal with them. But I think it's good maybe for some people who are also very sensitive and need to deal with those emotions. Maybe the way how you do, maybe it will not be good for them, but at least they will have an idea of how it can be.
Yeah, that is a that is a very complex question, but I think, um, I was very lucky in that I had always had, two very loving parents, and I th- they taught me from the beginning to be kind to myself, and I think that as emotions and feelings arise and complicated thoughts and uh, things happening, I think the most important thing and first thing is to be kind to yourself about it, to accept that, okay, I'm human, this is happening, and the most important thing is to not judge myself about it, because judging then creates another layer of anxiety, because you're suddenly anxious about your anxiety, because what will people think about it and all those things, it doesn't really help. So, and to stop judging yourself, there is the antidote is to love yourself. And I'm not talking in a way that I see sometimes it's like, oh, affirmations, tell yourself you're so fantastic, and I never could connect with that, because it's just like that's how I think about other people sometimes, but it's hard for me to just be like in love with myself, because yeah, it's more like I'm compassionate with myself, I'm kind to myself, and I allow myself to not be perfect. At least I try. So I think that's something that is not so often spoken about, that it takes you really far to just be like, okay, I have limitations, I am human, and it's okay. And then where do I go from here? But if you start with loving yourself about it and just be kind, then I think you're already like taking this first step.
Do you love yourself?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
You are very reflective, and you worked on your personality. But when you were younger, and when you had maybe no idea about all those things,
Hmm.
how you deal also with the look of the other people?
How other people see me, or
See you, yes.
yeah, again, I think I am just lucky in that sense that I learned from the beginning that I'm okay as I am. My
But that's so good
my
from your parents.
yeah, they did some really good things. They never, like, for example, my appearance is very androgynous and not the typical female look, and they never said anything about that. It was like the most natural thing that I'm just me, and they never tried to change that, and they always let me be me, and just being kind in general. So I think that helped me, even though when I was younger I didn't have the tools to handle everything in the best way. Of course, nobody does, but I think I've always had that feeling of like I am okay. Like I'm not a terrible person. So I yeah I guess I just never learned to focus too much on what others will think. So
Yeah,
um,
that's fantastic.
yeah,
Because
yeah, it's
that's something I struggle a lot. I was always afraid of what people were thinking about me because I was very sensitive. So I heard so many times that I'm too sensitive,
mm,
or I'm not enough. Like I should be like that, or this I heard a lot, and I put also this protection around myself that I'm strong and I'm good, and in some in some
mm-hmm,
point this protection is breaking, and
yeah,
you just can't deal with that anymore.
yes,
So
yeah, yeah. I think it's one of the issues with our society that uh, we're not allowed to be to be different, and we should be productive. And if something happens, if somebody around you dies, for example, it's like, okay, you're allowed to be sad, and there's a lot of attention around you, and but then the funeral's over, and then it's almost like expected to go back to be productive. And what, what you have to take into consideration that it comes in waves, like mm, or the end of a relationship. It's like you can be fine for a few months, and then suddenly for 1 week you don't function, and what are you going to say to your employer or your coach, like, yeah, I'm sad about my breakup that happened 8 months ago, so I can't come to practice. Then they'll be like, what, are you crazy? So I think we cannot always understand each other, so everybody function in different ways, but what we can do is just to be compassionate with each other and just be like, yeah, I understand, and then again, like, to be compassionate towards ourselves and just be like, it's okay that my coach doesn't understand this. It doesn't mean that I'm wrong. I am allowed to feel what I'm feeling, and I'm okay. Basically that.
let's take
uh,
that.
yeah.
Let's take that. That's the best advice we can
Yeah,
get. So let's
I
take
feel
that.
like I feel like our quiz is like it's not a short quiz.
that's that's a huge quiz. That's like questions that taking like 10 minutes long. But I will still bounce on it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so actually, your game, also your table tennis game, is much uh, fitting with your personality, right? I mean, you
Mm-hmm.
play
Yeah.
table tennis as you are. And
Mm-hmm.
I also discovered now this recently that I play good when I'm really playing my game, you know, what I
Mm.
like.
Yeah.
And you also have a typical game for a woman. You know, you are
Mm-hmm.
lefty, nice game, good feeling, making around the net often, serving very good. So you also build your best capacities in your game with your personality, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I think that you can see in many players their playing style goes hand in hand with their personality.
Yeah, but this also it's good to know when you are young, because sometimes the people wants to make you play how they want you to play, but they forget that you there is an individual behind the
Yes.
racket.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
did
Exactly.
people teach you
That.
that? Did they teach you that, your coaches in the past and theirs and
No, that's a little bit that what I was talking about before. What Sweden was always good at, like allowing the players to play their own way and not make everybody play the same. And I think that's a very good thing.
yeah. So I'm going to the second question.
Mhm.
Do you have any sport idol?
Mm. So I am very much not interested in sports, which is maybe a weird thing, but I am impressed by a lot of people and their performances. I don't follow results in sports nowadays.
So
When I was a kid, I did.
So
Um,
who could inspire you, but not in sport, like some other personalities? Maybe you are into movies or into writers or
um, it's really tough. I don't have someone that I'm like idolizing like that. I think I take bits and pieces from everyone that inspires me around me. Like in right in my immediate surrounding right now is one of my bosses at work, Max. He's an inspiration for me because how he leads people, how he's so energetic and brings out the best in others. You can tell that he's really made to be a leader. Um, that's something that like inspires me. But when I was a player, I tried to look at people. How do I want to play? It was like I was usually looking at lefties. Um, I would look at when I was younger, maybe Kristi Toth from Hungary. She was the one who played maybe more similar to me, even though she was running back and playing high balls all the time, which I don't really do. But um, I don't know. I just look at the best players and try to copy whatever fits my playing style. So Michael Mays a lot, and yeah,
not bad, not bad.
mm, yeah.
Okay. Um, you you told me that you want to continue to play like until you can because you would not like to work.
Yeah.
So how was it this end of career and that you, oh my god, what I will do now, or this transition a bit from playing to find maybe a job, or to yeah, how you see that?
Yeah, that was always my motto, like to keep playing. And I guess I never counted on the fact that I would lose my motivation like that. Um, but there was a lot going on those years that made me stop playing. And now I'm very lucky because I have a very flexible job and very good leadership at Ping Pod. And so I am I'm happy also to be in the in the workforce. But it, the the transition from being a player to not being a player is it was much harder than I thought, and uh, not in a practical way. Like, I was lucky I could find a job, and um, I have things to do, and but it's the whole thing of like, I spoke to somebody recently about how as a player you have people coming to watch you, and they clap their hands. They're sitting there clapping their hands for you. And in what other occasion in life do you have that? Like,
Yeah,
like
I understand.
you have, it's like you go to work, you sit at the desk, and you have 50 people sitting around your computer and just clapping every time you send an email. It's like it's that type of attention, and that type of, after the game you sign some autographs, you take some selfies, and I'm not saying that that made me feel like more important than anyone else, but that made me feel like me, because that was my life for so long. So that was just like natural part of my life, and it was where I felt comfortable. And then from one day to the next, that is not happening anymore. And what am I then? Like, if that's not happening, then I'm just a nobody. And I'm not saying that in a way that I think people that are not in sports are nobodies, but my internal feeling was like, oh, there is nobody clapping for me anymore. Like that, like, now what? So you had to, I had to really get used to that, and yeah, I guess I'm still searching for new meaning in life, I guess.
So you're always searching for the meaning in your life to really feel fulfilled?
Yeah, but I think right now it's more like I'm trying to find the the way to be, to not need that, you know
Ah,
like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
how can I accept everything for what it is without needing more, because I don't think it should be needed. I don't I look at most of the people, they will not have people clapping for you. So, and they're okay.
So for you, it would be it would be hard but possible to just have a house, a garden, be in silence with nature and meditate all day or not, and to feel happy.
um I think I would need something more stimulating to do, but I would like to be in a place where I don't need a lot.
Yeah. Wow, but
Yeah.
that's. I spent some time with a very old woman, and she was my hypnotherapist. She's
Mhm.
76 years old, so not so old, but starting to be old.
Mhm.
And she's still she's still putting all the shit stuff in her to feel like more free, you know.
Mhm.
And she's becoming now wiser and wiser. I can see, I can feel. And she's the type that she's waking up in the morning, taking the coffee at at the same time every day, doing her yoga, doing meditation, eating well, speaking about life, and she's so in peace, you know. Uh,
Yeah.
and I wish that when I will be older and when I will have her age or even earlier, I will feel like that.
Yeah. I think that we can we can learn throughout life, and and most of us maybe feel like life is over when you're 30, or and then you're 35, and then there's like this anxiety of getting older. But for me, yeah, my life is better and better. because I'm able to handle things that come my way in a different way now. So yeah, I would love to keep evolving till I'm 76 for sure.
Yeah. Did you start playing again because you missed that, or because you really wanted to start playing again? Oh, you never stopped actually, but
Yeah, so the reason why I started playing again was because the I live in New York, and they started a new league here, Major League Table Tennis, and the first season the level was not super high, so I felt like, wow, I can qualify to play this if I just practice a little bit, and I had not even considered making a comeback, but it was like universe was like, well, here is your chance to actually finish your career, because I never got to finish it the first time around. And I think because I finished because my coach died, and then I wasn't able to handle that, and it was not the ending I wanted. So um and now I'm also enjoying it a lot more. I think missing it for a couple of years was important to understand how much joy it brings me. And so I was like, I'm gonna try to make this, and I did okay in the first season, and now I've done okay in the second season as well, and I keep getting a little bit better all the time, and hopefully I will play the third season also. Yeah, I'm just gonna keep enjoying until it's not working anymore, but I think I can play for years to come.
yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And when you play the match, do you take the serve first or you take the receive?
In general, yes, I take the serve.
I will take the serve because when I was in the French national team, the coaches told me to give the serve because when it's 9-9, 2-2, 9-9, then you have the serve. But I
Yeah,
never did. I never did that. I always kept the service.
yeah, me too. I like to get a good start.
Yeah. Um, and you are more a dreamer or you are more on Earth?
I had this conversation this week actually, that I'm the best for me is when I'm just in between. I have a little bit of both in me, but I tend to go too much in one way and then the other way. So just you should try to be in the middle.
Yeah. You told me that you love to practice, but you didn't like so much the matches.
Correct, yeah. I'm
Is
a
it still the
weirdo.
same?
I still love to practice. Yeah, I like it more than to play matches. When I was in my main career, um, I often thought of the matches like just the the way to sustain my career, because that's how you earn the money, right? Um, but the main benefit for me was always to go to practice and get better and like evolve as a player and feel like. And then of course you can see that in the matches, like you get better at something and suddenly you beat someone you never beat before. So it's a combination, of course, but the fear of losing was always quite strong for me. So I learned to be afraid of playing matches, which is not great, but I it was something I learned to handle too. So I don't know. I love to practice though. I always will.
And this you will always practice, right? Even if you stop in 2 years the league, then you will still. You think?
Yeah, I did stop practicing these years. I didn't practice once for 3 years, and I have no idea how that happened. I guess I was just really fed up
Mm.
and needed a break, because now it's hard to think that I would not practice,
Mm.
because it brings so much benefits.
Do you like to plan things or things are coming naturally to you?
I'm more of a not so much planner.
So if I ask you how you see yourself in 10 years, it's hard to answer,
Oh,
right?
I think nobody can answer. You can just have an idea of which direction you want to go, but no.
Okay. I didn't speak about. I wanted to speak about something with you. It's the Olympic Games. I
Mhm.
think this is the last topic we can touch.
Mhm.
You explain to me the story, of course, but I want you maybe to explain the story to my audience.
Mhm.
So you qualified, right, twice to the Olympic Games with the Olympic tournament.
Yeah. Well, I qualified 4 times.
Yeah,
Um. Yeah. To
4 times.
yeah, Beijing, London, Rio, and Tokyo.
Okay, so 4 times, but you didn't
Mhm.
go 3 times.
In Sweden, we have this additional criteria where the National Olympic Committee have to select you to go, and they said that I was not good enough, that I was too old, and that I was a tourist, and I don't know all the things they said. But they decided I was not good enough to go 2 times, and then the third time they um, they let me play. Suddenly, I was not too old or not a tourist anymore. So I played in Rio, and then Tokyo is understandable. I didn't go because I had already kind of quit, and we had two young players that also qualified. So naturally they went, which is something I can definitely understand.
And how did you cope with that? Uh, Maybe not understanding the injustice or the feeling like what the fuck.
Yeah, the first time around was 2008. I was 26, and like I said, I played my first championship when I was 24. So it was really the start of my career. So that was a big, big blow. I saw myself as very young.
Yeah.
So, like, I think um, that was very, very tough for me because the 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 fourth player in the Swedish men's team, he was just 1 year younger, and one of the reasons they picked him to go was to learn for next Olympics. So uh, that was like clearly sexism, or yeah, just like uh, it felt like big blow to my confidence, and I felt very low and sad for quite a bit. But then I was like, okay, I didn't start playing table tennis to go to Olympics. Like I said before, I was going to be a professional in Germany, and I was, just step by step. My
It's
career was
unbelievable.
always, yeah. So, you know, like I kept going, and then it happened the second time. That time, everyone was on my side because at that time I was ranked higher than all the guys in Sweden, but they still sent the guys. So I had better ranking than all of them. So it was just ridiculous. And by that time, I was more confident and realizing that this system is flawed and I can't control it. But I had so much support um, that I felt this unbelievable. Like they lift me up. All other players, ITTF, they sent me to London to go there and watch, and they were like, "We wish you could play, but at least we can let you go there and see what it's like at the Olympics." So that was also useful for 2016. That I was actually there in 2012, and yeah, it was again like I always come back to I still want to play. I'm not playing. Like, look at all the players who never qualified. They're still enjoying the game. So why shouldn't I?
So it didn't destroy you at all, actually, in the
No,
long
I think
term.
I think it built some resilience in me. Same way I was not selected for the junior team in Sweden, the cadet team. I was always up there, and looking back, it would have been uh, like, I don't know why I was not chosen. I can only speculate. They just didn't believe in me for the future. I think a lot of it was because of my throwing tantrums, throwing rackets, and not being able to behave as a kid. And but that taught me to, like my dad, he was always like, okay, it seems like you have to do better than everybody else. You can't just be on par with them. So just keep going, keep practicing, get better than them, so they need to pick you because they don't have an option. So I think that became my motto. And so yeah, I have my best years were 2016, 2017, 2018. That was so I kept getting better for many years. So I think in some ways it was good for me.
Yes, and just tell us, what was your peak of your career? Like when, what age you were, how old you were when you get the best table tennis out of you?
So my ranking was 20 in the world when I was 35. And at 36, we played the World Championships in Sweden, Halmstad. I won all the matches in the group stage against some really strong teams. I didn't play against China, so that would have probably hurt my score. But I won all the other matches, so I think that was maybe all in all my best tournament ever.
Yeah.
So at 35, 36. Yeah.
Okay, I have 10 years to go.
You have time.
Thank you, Matti, for the sharing and everything what you said. Do you want to speak about any other subject?
No, I think all the things we spoke about were interesting topics. I don't know. We can't talk forever. Nobody's going to listen to podcasts. Like
I would, yes, I would speak way much more, but I see it's already 1 hour.
Yeah, so we'll have to do a second episode in the future.
Yes. And who you would like to listen in the podcast on the edge? Which guest you would like to hear?
Well, maybe my boss Max, because I mentioned him.
Okay, so Matti, I wish you a really good life.
Thank you. I wish you a good life too.
A good life, and good luck with all your next projects and restful time.
Yeah, thank you. I wish you the same, and a lot of good French food.
Thank you.